Duel Review is brought to you by NexusDigitalComics.com.
This week on Duel Review, Bastard, the anime, and 13th Warrior.
We're going to take a look at the Hitman video games, and we're going to start off the week with The Crow. I'm RJ.
And I'm Nick.
Let's get to it. Welcome, everybody, to today. It is September 12th, and we're going to be doing The Crow. The comic is where we started, but it sounds like you're going to do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely started with, actually, it wasn't the official comic, it was the Top Cow comic, and that was actually before I saw the movie, which is the biggest thing. But basically, The Crow is a comic created by James O'Barr, and a lot of people know it. It's a gothic romance story, I suppose. Basically, two people who are in love get killed, and one of them comes back to life to exact revenge on the killers. In the comic book, the person who comes back is Eric Draven, and he comes back and he suffers through the memories of the woman that he loved, Shelley. And he, dances and he, does all these weird stuff just to kind of get back in touch with her and that feeling. But the Crow, who it's not really explained whether or not he hears the Crow, but the Crow talks. So the Crow's always like, oh, well, you're just wasting time. Come on, we got work to do so that I can bring you back to the land of the dead and you can just stay dead. Because that's the premise is, mythology says that the Crow takes the soul of the dead to the afterlife, but sometimes the sadness weighs on the soul and they have to come back to, make things right.
Yeah, and in the movie, the Crow is just another set of eyes.
Right.
And, he does become involved at one point. But, yeah, in the comic, he does speak to him. But it's definitely like fits. He goes into some weird fit.
Right.
Because, perspective is different and just things right. And the Crow's like, warning him about things or, don't look.
His tragedy was represented by a very happy white stallion running. Basically, in this, I guess it's more of a metaphor. It's not really explained, but I would take it as a metaphor. He's on a train, and he's looking out the window, and there's a white stallion, and he's running, and the white stallion runs into the barbed wire and gets all cut up, and he gets all sad, and then the train conductor, who's just a skeleton of a thing, says, "Ticket, please," and the Crow's like, well, you're gonna give him the ticket.
All I can think of is cocaine.
White horse, cocaine.
And there's a lot of drug use and paraphernalia and stuff that shows up in the book.
Right.
That's another thing is like even in the movie as well, which most of us are mostly familiar with.
Right,
the movie.
Brandon Lee's
portrayal. Yeah,
yeah,
and
great.
He pumps himself so full of drugs. Is that part of? I mean, it's never really explained, why he's still alive. But he pumps himself full of drugs all the time, and like in the book, he does it as well.
In the book, he didn't really do that in the movie, no.
But he doesn't feel pain anyway, right?
No, he feels pain.
Oh, he does.
He does. Yeah, he does feel pain. He's still mortal. He just doesn't die. He's a ragdoll essentially. So he'll pump himself full of morphine or whatever he took. I guess just to try and block out the agony of having lost the love of his life.
Okay. And that dominates at least the old books
right.
that I read. I didn't read the Top Cow version. I don't have any experience with that. But in the book, he's much less of a musician than the movie.
Right.
I don't know why that became much more of a big part in the movie. Maybe they just felt they needed something else.
Yeah, I think. Maybe to
Can't rain all the time. Right.
Yeah.
That was the song.
That was a song. Yeah.
It skipped on the record.
Yeah.
So emotional. Anyway, the hunky Brandon Lee. Well, so we all know the horrible thing that happens to Shelley.
Right. Raped and murdered.
The book is dominated by that,
right.
Which, of course makes sense because that's the whole reason he is
comes back,
doing this and revenge.
And then there's the memory and then the intertwined with the poems and, just everything to kind of build up this emotion behind that, yeah.
But I take issue with an entire book being devoted to the actual rape. I don't appreciate that.
Well,
I don't think it's necessary at all because they talk about it continually. You know exactly what happened. You already have a picture in your head, and then to see it like again, it's like you already know what happened, so let's show you exactly what happened again.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good, that was done well in my opinion,
Oh. I
because
mean, it could have done a lot worse, sure. I mean, they didn't really show anything. They showed it from a distance.
right.
But just being in that moment again, it was just too much for me. I'm not really a fan of watching any kind of rape
I know, and
and watching it
it's
again. But
unsettling,
the first
and
time is enough. I just don't think that
I
the second
think
time was
no,
warranted
no,
at
I
all.
completely disagree with that. I think that the continuation of it forces you, it immerses you into the world of Eric Draven. It was all about his emotional pain, and revisiting that emotional pain is what keeps him,
Well,
in kind of the
if
moment
you
of
if you
revenge.
tell me that somebody I know got raped, or even somebody I didn't know, that's all I need. That's enough. I don't need any more to get emotional and outraged and
Right, right. But the fact that James O'Barr, revisited the rape over and over and over again, simply to draw you into this kind of, oh my God, I really cannot believe these bad guys are this cruel and this. So I think that furthered your need for vengeance in
I
Eric
think it
Draven.
just trivialized it a little bit,
I
if
don't,
anything.
I don't know about that.
Anyway, there's a lot of poems that show up in the
Yes,
books. How do you feel about the poems?
I don't like them.
I like some of them.
Okay, yeah, one or two, but
They're a little melodramatic and heavy-handed. I mean, they're very, emo kid kind of thing.
which was this was far before emo, but yeah,
but at the same time, there are some good ones.
yes,
I can't, recall any of them. I'm not photographic memory in that sense,
neither can I.
yeah, they're interspersed, especially in the first couple books in this trade I'm talking about, the early books. Yeah, there's quite a few, beginning and end of every book,
Right,
in the
right,
middle,
right.
and whatever, and he speaks in riddles and lyrics.
Yeah, and
Kind
I
of
and I
thing.
think that also kind of draws you into the character, because you know, he has a different way of viewing things, I suppose. And that's interesting because I've always believed that if you were to come back from the dead, it shouldn't be the same. You shouldn't be the same person. In a lot of the comic books where you see characters come back from the dead, they pick up right where they left off. It doesn't make any sense to me. But with this character, Eric Draven, he comes back and he'll see a moon in the streetlight and he'll just remember that night, or he'll talk in rhymes because you know it just he's kind of distanced himself from humanity, I guess, if that makes sense, or kind of numb in that regard.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Another difference from like the movie is that he doesn't know the little girl.
Right.
In the book,
In the comic
he's
book,
not associated
in
with
the
her.
comic book, it was Sherry. Sherry was the little
Is it
girl's name,
Sherry?
and yeah, it was Sherry. It was Shelly and Sherry. So Sherry was the little girl, and there was really no good connection between the two, except that they met once and they kind of liked each other. And Eric Draven felt bad for the little girl and he
Right,
gave her
right.
the
He's
ring.
able to sympathize,
Right.
with drug-addled mother
Yeah.
being used by Fun Boy, and
Right. And then in the movie, Sherry became Sarah, and Sarah's mother was the same kind of thing.
right,
With
same
Fun Boy.
character, but they knew him,
Right, but they knew,
before. Yeah.
yeah, they were essentially her caregivers when the mother was out doing drugs and whatnot.
Yeah,
Um,
it was neat to watch the book and the movie, together and see the parallels. Like they took right out of the book the whole pawn shop.
yeah, Gideon's
scene.
pawn shop.
Yeah,
Well, they
was
took
just
quite a
taken
bit,
out just about.
A lot of the good lines, like oh, what's his name? Tintin, the guy with the knives.
Hmm.
Right, his name was Tintin, right?
Yep.
But yeah, he some of the dialogue is straight from the book. What you all painted up for, crackhead or whatever.
Right.
So that was interesting.
It's a pretty disgusting world, and that's part of why I take exception to the extra rape part, because it's already so disgusting. It's just unneeded. I mean, these people already need to die. I mean, it's apparent. They're hellraisers. I mean, in the movie, the whole Hell Night thing, and
Devil's Night,
that's
yeah.
not mentioned in here.
No, Devil's
Well,
Night
Hell,
is specifically.
Hell's Night, I guess, is the real thing. I don't know. There's a lot of violence in the book. It is all black and white, right? I don't
Yeah, well,
remember any color.
well, again, it was an indie comic book. James O'Barr wrote and I believe illustrated the entire book himself, and that was essentially to cope with the death of his girlfriend. She died from a drunk driver. So to cope with it, he created the Crow and put a lot of force into it, and I think it really came out in the book. But yeah, he did it all himself, so it's a very indie title that just exploded,
Hmm. Hmm.
into the fame that it received. So yeah.
The art the art doesn't necessarily even look all together though. I wonder how that progressed because like the cover art we talked about that. The cover art is
Right.
very different, very unrefined compared to a little bit more refined inside the book.
Right, and
But
I think that's just different sketches that he did.
none of the art is terribly great.
No.
But it does the job
Right.
for sure.
And it kind of, I think the fact
Some
that
of it's
it's not,
fun.
I think the fact that it's not terribly great kind of adds to the feeling of
This
this,
rough edge.
yeah, this kind of city that's just horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of like that.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about the Crow property?
Well, there are quite a number of other properties. In comic books, there's the City of Angels, Dead Time, Flesh and Blood. Damn it, I have to look down. Wild Justice, Waking Nightmares, and then Image did a remake of the Crow
You
comics.
can't look down all the time,
Okay,
but it's okay too.
thank you.
I was just paraphrasing the stupid song.
Yeah, I know.
Can't rain all the time. And then when does it skip? How does it skip? Can't rain, can't rain. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw that one. Hey, so what about the other movies? We might as well touch on those real quick.
Sure.
Are they any good? I've never seen any of them but the first
Oh
one.
yeah. Okay. Well, the second one would be City of Angels, which is essentially
Got the soundtrack.
I think the comic came after the City of Angels comic came after the City of Angels movie, but that one wasn't that great. Then came Salvation with Kirsten Dunst, which was pretty good. I liked it. It wasn't as great as the first one, obviously, but it was decent enough. And then Wicked Prayer, which was named after or created from the book, and I'm not sure, and I'll get into the books in a second. But that one was it's kind of okay, but not great. It had if you remember American History X, the brother who gets shot, he plays the Crow persona or whatever, and David Boreanaz, who was Angel from Buffy series, he plays this kind of leader of this satanic gang cult thing. So that one wasn't that great. So I would watch the first one and the third one because those are the ones that are only really worth really watching. But I think there's another one coming out. Then there was a TV series, Stairway to Heaven, which follows directly after the first Crow. But that I didn't really care for that either because it kind of got into like, him going to court and testifying and stuff, and I was like, what is this? This is stupid.
By the way, I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, no one's supposed to know, but I'm dead. And then there's the books. There's sorry, I have to look down again. Lazarus Heart, Clash by Night, Quoth the Crow, Temple of Night, Wicked Prayer, which was the movie, and then Hellbound. Right.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a Crow. It's the Crow.
It's The Crow
The Crow.
by James Abar
All right.
and others.
Quoth the Raven.
Ah.
Ah. Lame. That's what the Raven quotes. See ya.
Bye. You just fall off.
Coming up tomorrow, it's Bastard. We're green.
Yeah. Oh shoot! I didn't even think about that. The other shirt that I brought for next week is green.
I hate you.
I totally wasn't thinking. See, look, I have. This is an undershirt.
Well, if you disappear, you disappear.
Okay.
Cool, actually. Okay, public apology.
First and foremost, I would like to apologize for wearing green. I was not thinking. So now, when the green screen gets kind of edited, it's gonna cut out the divots or whatnot.
So cute. Don't wear green.
Oh wait.
Don't wear green. You, right there. Don't wear green.
Me? Me? Okay.